What if Sigmund Freud analyzed today's darkest crimes? We trained AI with his theories. Now it thinks like Freud himself. Murder, abduction, the unconscious. Get ready for a chilling psychological journey. Billionaire heiress Patty Hearst was kidnapped and participated in bank robberies with her captors, the Symbionese Liberation Army. This popularized Stockholm Syndrome. Dr. Freud, what are the psychological dynamics at play here?
A fascinating case. The young woman appears to have developed a pathological bond with her captors as a defense mechanism against trauma. A complex play of the unconscious, identification with the aggressor, perhaps a primal need for an authority figure. The ID's impulses and a weak super-ego are likely at work.
Serial killer Ted Bundy committed brutal murders, his charisma starkly contrasting his evil. Dr. Freud, how do you interpret such a duality?
This seems a dark manifestation of repressed desires and impulses. Perhaps childhood traumas, sexual perversions, and a deep narcissism coalesced within this man's psyche. The outward charm likely served as a mask for his destructive tendencies. Such cases reveal the sinister, incomprehensible aspects of human nature. A perverse expression of the libido, perhaps.
Known as the killer clown, Gacy murdered children, the horrific details shocking the public. Dr. Freud, how do you explain such sadism?
This appears to be a most disturbing manifestation of the death drive, Thanatos. Perhaps deep-seated rage and hatred accumulated within this man's psyche. The clown persona may have served as a disguise for his dark unconscious desires. This cruelty towards children could also be linked to repressed sexual urges. Such cases reveal the depths of human depravity.
Dahmer's murders involved necrophilia and cannibalism, shocking the world. Dr. Freud, what are the roots of such perversions?
This seems a most extreme and pathological expression of the struggle between Eros and Thanatos. Necrophilia and cannibalism, perhaps a horrific fusion of the desire for union with a lost object and the drives to control and destroy. Childhood traumas, attachment issues, and profound loneliness may have laid the groundwork for such perversions. A glimpse into the unconscious's darkest recesses.
Lyle and Eric Menendez murdered their parents, their trial raising issues of family violence and wealth. Dr. Freud, what psychological factors explain their actions?
This tragic event reveals the devastating consequences of family dynamics and repressed rage. Perhaps these young men experience complex and conflicted relationships with their parents. Repressed jealousy, rivalry, and perhaps fear of punishment may have led to this horrific act. The Oedipus complex and familial power dynamics likely played a significant role.
J.C. Dugard was kidnapped at 11 and held captive for 18 years, a symbol of profound trauma. Dr. Freud, what are the long-term psychological effects of such prolonged captivity?
This horrific experience undoubtedly left deep and lasting scars on a young psyche. Prolonged captivity can lead to the loss of self-esteem, post-traumatic stress disorder, and perhaps the development of a complex dependence on the captor as a survival mechanism, a brutal violation of the individual's fundamental sense of safety and freedom. The unconscious will attempt to process this trauma through various defense mechanisms.
The trial of O.J. Simpson for the murder of his ex-wife and her friend sparked discussions on race, violence, and the justice system. Dr. Freud, what are your thoughts on the psychological aspects of this case?
This case appears to involve complex psychological dynamics, such as narcissism, guilt, and denial. Perhaps the accused possesses a grandiose ego and a lack of empathy. His denial of the accusations may be a coping mechanism for unconscious guilt. The public's reaction reflects repressed anger and a search for justice.
Elizabeth Smart was kidnapped and held captive for 9 months, a case that garnered significant public attention. Dr. Freud, what psychological impact does such a traumatic experience have on a young girl?
This horrific event undoubtedly shattered a young girl's fundamental sense of safety. The trauma experienced during captivity can lead to long-lasting psychological issues. The relationship she formed with her captor may have been a complex survival mechanism. Such cases starkly illustrate the enduring effects of childhood trauma and abuse.
Ariel Castro held 3 young women captive in his home for years, subjecting them to sexual abuse. This case horrified the world. Dr. Freud, how do you explain such prolonged and multi-victim abuse?
This appears a horrific confluence of perversion, the need for control, and sadism. This man likely harbored deep-seated power fantasies and a lack of empathy. The prolonged trauma experienced by the victims undoubtedly led to a loss of self-worth, despair, and lasting psychological damage. Such cases reveal the darkest and most cruel aspects of the human psyche.
Casey Anthony was acquitted of murdering her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee, a verdict that sparked public outrage. Dr. Freud, what are your thoughts on the mother's psychological state and the public's reaction?
This case seems to involve complex emotional dynamics, such as maternal instinct, guilt, and denial. Perhaps the accused experienced a profound trauma that triggered denial mechanisms. The public's outrage likely reflects repressed anger, a sense of injustice, and perhaps a disillusionment with the idealized figure of motherhood.
Thanks for watching. If you like the video and subscribe to our channel, you will be the first to know about new videos.